Welcome. It's to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It is Monday, January 10th at 4 p.m. and we're in the Carson City Community Center in the Bob Kroll Boardroom. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mike Jones,
Here.
Bobby Rader,
Here.
Steve Kim,
Here.
Stacy Giomi.
Here.
Steve Reynolds is absent. We have a quorum.
Great. Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. At this time, I'll ask for any public comment. Is there anyone on the phone that would like to provide any comment?
There are no callers on the line at this time.
Seeing no one present, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the minutes for the December 13th, 2021 CTA board meeting. Anyone have any revisions, corrections, additions to the minutes? If not, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. At this time, I'll ask if any board member would like any specific item pulled from the consent agenda for individual discussion. No? I'll also ask if there's any public, anyone from the public would like anything pulled. I don't think that will happen, but with that, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as is.
Second. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes. That takes us to item 9 for possible discussion and action regarding the annual performance review of David Peterson, Culture and Tourism Authority, CTA Executive Director. The review of past objectives and adoption of future objectives for the Executive Director and approval of an overall rating of his performance over the past year. I think, Chris, you're going to provide the staff summary, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
So on December 17th of 2018, the CTA Board of Directors appointed David Peterson to serve as the Executive Director for the CTA. Pursuant to NRS 244A 6.19, CTA is authorized to hire and retain officers. As such, any annual performance review of such officers must be done by the board during a public meeting. Mr. Peterson was provided notice of the annual performance review on December 2nd, 2021. And per the CTA employee policies and procedures, employees may receive an annual merit increase for work performance upon recommendation of the appointing authority at a maximum of 5% per year until the employee reaches the top of the pay range for the position. The board will consider Mr. Peterson's performance as executive director from the period of December 17th of 2020 to December 16th of 2021 and adopt the performance objectives for the next review period. So in the packet are the performances from last year and when they were completed. And then the last page is the objectives for this year. And then what we're looking for is for the rating, it would be outstanding would be 5%. Above expectations would be 3.5. Meets would be 2, and below would be 0.
Thank you, Chris. We'll get I think we'll follow the same line we did last year. David, I'll ask you to go over, the objectives for 21. We'll then open it up for discussion from the board if they have any questions. Then we'll move towards the objectives for 22 and then have a decision on a rating. So if you go ahead and start with the objectives.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Chair Jones. And this, what you see here in front of you in the packet, I mean, this is not just me, right? I have an outstanding team of individuals, 3 who are here in the room, that helped make these objectives come to life and put forward what I think was an amazing effort. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, I'll remind everybody, but I'm very pleased with the continued work that this team did for this past calendar year. So hats off to the team, I want to say. And so we'll jump right in. The first objective that you all had approved last year was to oversee the integration of the arts and culture program into the CTA. Through December, the 2016 Arts and Culture Master Plan, it was reviewed. Credit to Deborah for her work on that, and updated to guide the arts and culture program activity. We kind of put like a 5-year document out there, as I say here, that was based on consultation with the 3 stakeholder groups, if you all recall, the arts and culture organizations, the residents of Nevada, as well as the lodging properties here in Carson City. So the plan was completed. It was forwarded to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration at the December 2nd, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting. I know that that was tabled temporarily just for some technical review, but we did present that plan and complete it last December. In addition, we've got a database that's currently being prepared to produce digital cultural maps. Hats off to Deborah again for her work on that, of the Carson City arts and culture assets. We started on the public art policy last year as well. And then we have a 2022 printed calendar of arts and culture events, and that is being prepared to bring the 16 arts and culture organizations' various events into a single piece. So that will benefit visitors and residents alike. And then the other thing that we also started, and it was toward the end of, obviously, last calendar year, but was the interpretive signage, which was designed for the Mind of Da Vinci sculpture located at the community center. So that's an update in terms of the work that was done through the 12/16 date last month. Objective number 2, write and submit CTA policies and procedures for board approval. If you all recall, at the December meeting, those policies and procedures covering the organization, public information, communication, IT, fiscal management, travel, and hosting were completed back in November of 2021 and then presented to the board, which you approved on 12/13/2021. Objective number 3, to update and maintain a fluid, COVID-friendly strategic communications plan to include destination marketing and management components. That had a June 2021 completion, and the fiscal 22 communications plan was completed on 6/8 and presented to this board on 6/14 of last year. Objective number 4, coordinate and execute the CTA's first integrated creative brand campaign. So we had a December 2021 completion on that. Obviously, with the pandemic still continuing, there's been some challenges with that. It was not, obviously, as you know, fully completed as planned, but I'll just walk through where we're at through this particular review period. So the campaign itself was set in motion in September with a strategic brief that was followed by an initial baseline piece of research that utilized Visit Carson City's consumer database. That was something that we had not anticipated, but in discussion with KPS3, they asked for that piece of research to help inform that strategic brief, which I think was actually a great decision or suggestion and decision by all of us, the full team, to go ahead and do that. So guided by those couple of documents, 2 concepts were developed in October. In November, the focus group research was conducted to test those 2 concepts on a qualitative basis. The results of that research was used to then create a questionnaire that we actually are in the field right now, but that was used to then start the quantitative testing of those concepts in our 11 primary and secondary designated market areas. So that is an update on Objective 4. Objective 5 on page 5, continue development and implementation of a data-driven special event strategy with a new emphasis on quality of place and experiences that transform. This had a June 2021 completion. And this was something I was super excited about. So we did present Visit Carson City's first ever data informed special event strategy related to cultural and tourism development. It was completed on the 6th of June last year, and it was presented to the board at the 6/14 meeting. Number 6, expand Visit CarsonCity.biz as a resource to the Carson City tourism industry, educate partners of the public-facing calendar for events. This had a December 2021 completion date. And really, this is something, again, hats off to Lydia for helping get this transformation on our website, and for her and Zach to continue to update this throughout the course of the year. But during 2021, we also, thanks to Lydia, had the Visit Carson City Safely page. That was updated and expanded to contain pertinent information about COVID. And then obviously we had the wildfires that impacted the area. So it was a shift, and very efficiently we were able to help prepare not only, I think, residents, but also the visitors who, in spite of our requests to kind of stay away from the area if they were still going to come, here are the pertinent things to think about when you were coming into Carson City last year during the summer. So I think that was a great resource, a great asset, again, not just for visitors, but also our residents as well. So in the MICE section of the .biz website, if you all recall, a new convention and meeting space section was created. It included 20, I think it may be more than 20 locations, but 20 locations within Carson City, and we actually had that done in January of 2021. In addition, we launched a new motor coach travel-friendly special events module, and that was added to the motor coach section of the .biz website on May 12th of last year. And then imagery was updated throughout the year on the travel trade section of the .biz website. And we also, as we're constantly monitoring our one-sheeters, the group tour and the media one-sheets were updated in October. And if I'm wrong there, Lydia, you can correct me. So those are print, but they're also available on the website as well. And we steer our partners to those documents in the media, as well as group tour and motor coach. So that's a brief update on the 6 objectives that you identified for me a year ago and the completions of those.
At this time, I'll ask the board if you have any comments or direction for David on the objectives we had for 2021.
Mr.
Board
Chair.
Member Rader?
I think Stacy has it.
Stacy, did I hear you? Board Member Gianni?
Yeah, go ahead. Bobby can go first if she.
Thank you. This is Bobby Rader. I just wanted to commend Dave for the past year, because it's been so difficult. And I know that you have an amazing team, but it takes a great leader to lead that team. And the way you all navigated the COVID and the financial cuts, the financial impact of COVID, as well as the wildfire and the smoke, and did it so creatively and so well. I just really commend you on that.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.
Board Member Giammi?
Thank you. David, on item number 6, do you feel as though the outreach to the businesses is complete? I mean, do you think we're there in terms of them understanding that they can put their events on there, they can put a menu up, they can put activities up? I mean, I get the sense, just anecdotal, that we could do a little more there. So I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on that.
I agree with you 100%. I think not only is our both sites, the .biz site and the .com site, sort of living, breathing documents, and it's being changed, I would argue, probably every day and updated accordingly. Our outreach and education never stops, right? I don't want to speak for Deborah or Lydia, but there are new people that come into the organizations and they're not aware, you're right, of the resources that we have at our disposal to help them, including our websites and printed pieces. So this is something that arguably could probably be an objective every year. So you're right. There's more work to be done, absolutely. When we created that convention and meeting space section on the website, which did not previously exist, that was actually a result of conversations with several hotels who were not aware of non-hotel convention and meeting space, but were aware that there might be other places that they could send potential clients to. And so I think by us reaching out, it was actually, we reached out for a different reason. And then we received that feedback from them that, hey, we're aware that there may be other space in Carson City. We don't know what all these different locations are. We don't know what the amenities are, the size, how many people they can accommodate. It'd be great if you had something like that on your travel, your .biz version of the website. So honestly, we're open to making changes, updates, working with these folks every day, of the year. So no, I kind of feel like it's like we're educating people as we go, and I don't know that we'll ever have everybody fully up to speed on everything that we have to do. A lot of that, again, goes back to there's a lot of turnover, too, in the tourism industry. So you get new people coming in all the time, and sort of we're starting over the conversation. I just went through this today with the new executive director for Nevada Day and sort of getting them up to speed with our role, with the event, our sites, how we promote it. And so I think it's a constant conversation with our different tourism industry partners for sure.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of things that you do in the course of your day-to-day job that we don't list as an objective. It just sort of becomes part of your job. But
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if this is one of those items that it might be a good idea to leave on your list of objectives, so that we ensure it gets reported on and focused on during the course of the year. And I think the other part of that might be important is reporting back as we've committed to the the lodging properties about our efforts to put heads in bed, so to speak.
Yeah.
And maybe we could sort of craft I'm just kind of looking at it here. Maybe we could sort of craft a goal that sort of incorporates both of those things, so that it's high enough on our radar, your radar, I should say, that it gets reported on and focused on.
I'll just speak for myself, because obviously you all will make the decision, but I'm completely comfortable with that. I think it is important enough. And whether it was, on the list or not, I just want the board to be assured that we don't take our foot off that resource, outreach to our tourism partners. So, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'll let you guys, work out how you want to, if you want to tweak that a little bit for 22's goals, but I think that's a great idea.
I'm done. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. No, no, I think those are both great suggestions. As far as the calendar, I don't think we ever stop trying to educate and get the word out about tourism in Carson City, so that's an ongoing. And I think keeping the stakeholders, such as the hoteliers, in the loop is something not only we should do, but what I think is the right thing to do and we're required to do since they're funding the program. So both great things that I think could be integrated into the goals for 22 and probably every year. When I think back about when we were sitting here last year, about where we were and where we are now, and I seem to remember Board Member Giomi bringing up a commercial in the Super Bowl, and there were lemons or something falling out of the sky. And I don't think I didn't imagine at that time that I'd be sitting here today still getting hit by lemons. Maybe not as many, but there's still lemons falling out of the sky. And we've had to make the best of that situation and try to make lemonade. And I think David and the staff has done a wonderful job. We continue to move towards analytics to drive our decisions. We've brought in new expertise on board with Deborah, with the arts and culture piece, and your energy leading that team seems to be boundless. Your communication is always exemplary, even though, I always say sometimes less words are more, but you've done I think during a very trying time and lots of things going on, I think for the most part, 21 has been a success, a great success, actually, for all the hard work, because the tourism never really stops. It just kind of gets off of people's front burner. Any other comments from the board?
Steve Kim, I would just echo what everyone else has said, and I think that from top to bottom, you guys have just done a bang-on job, and it's been great. So I appreciate the opportunity. It's been fun, and I think I'm looking forward to the future.
Thank you.
With that, David, can we talk about 22 objectives and goals?
Absolutely. Yeah. So page 6 of 6 on this agenda item number 9. I know we just talked about potentially adding number 6, but you'll see 5 objectives that I discussed with Chair Jones. So objective number 1 is still a work in progress, finalize in collaboration with the city, the integration of the arts and culture program into the CTA, including the creation of a Carson City public art policy as referenced in the city's arts and culture master plan. And then we also want to get the cultural mapping finished for visitcarsoncity.com. So I'm talking with Deborah, we've got a June 2022 completion date on objective number 1. Objective number 2, proposed, execute the CTA's first integrative creative brand campaign. I feel pretty comfortable. I didn't want to get ahead of myself here, just given where we're at with the research and then coming back on some of the concepts, knowing that I want to bring this forward on the board level. But I feel pretty good that we should be able to have everything ready to go before the end of June on that front. So as we've been chatting about this would be really the first time that we have an integrated look and feel for all of our creative. So whether you see a digital ad, a print ad, a billboard, a TV spot, whatever the case may be, a paid social media ad, this is what we're working toward, rather than sort of the ad hoc effort. And it's an unbelievable effort that Lydia and the team put together, but where we're sort of just more responsive, right, to something coming up. Oh, we need a golf ad or whatever the case may be. We have our creative set out there ready to roll, regardless of what comes up. So that's objective number 2. Proposed objective number 3 is to update the 2005 room tax policies and procedures. And I know this one, in talking with DA Reese, this does have to come before the board, but as you can see, it's 16 years old. Chris will be running point on this to help me get these policies and procedures updated. And believe me, they need to be updated in terms of the language that's in there, the references to organizations that I don't even think exist anymore. So that's a big thing that I want to tackle this year with the board's approval, of course. And then number 4, we have the Hungry Hikers and Bikers Bandwango Pass underway, but I want to get 2 more of these launched during this calendar year, or through December at least. Let me back up. I apologize. Number 3, we have a September 22 completion date on that, and Chris feels comfortable with that's a doable date. And now just advance to 4. I'm working with Lydia. I think this is going to take a whole team effort, probably. We want to look at potentially Brewfest as one of these, because I really feel if we could get a pass up and running for a particular event and see how that goes, I think that's going to open the door for additional events or like a full-scale comprehensive integration, with the hotels, with other partners within Carson City. And so I'd like to see us get 2 of these passes launched by the end of December. So there's a great lead time on these. So some of this is out of our control because of working with the Bandwango team. I think it's like 90 days, right, Lydia, or 120 days or something like that. 90. Yeah. So we've got to be a bit strategic about this, but I think we can get 2 of these passes launched this calendar year. And then number 5 is to develop a 5-year strategic visitor experience plan for the CTA. And I've got a December 2022 completion date. And I talked with the chair about this. We need this, you guys. You know, my feeling, everything I've been reading, you know, for the past 2-3 weeks, things are not going to just suddenly turn around here as it relates to the COVID situation and some of the issues that we've got, you know, with flights and cancellations and this, that, and the other thing. But I want to move us forward, you know, knowing that that's probably going to be sitting here over our shoulder. And I think we need our own strategic roadmap to move us forward. But I want it to be about the visitor experience, because that's really ultimately what we're here for at the end of the day. And so without going way deep in on number 5, I want you guys to think of this as, again, as a strategic visitor experience plan, that this whole team, we're going to work together when we get our new events person on board. 7 of us, I want to pull the whole team in to be a part of this process and present a plan by the end of the calendar year for the board's consideration. So I'm excited about 5 as well. Big undertaking, but we need to do this. So, and then I'll let you all discuss the expanding the Visit CarsonCity.biz as a resource, and then keeping the lodging stakeholder properties updated as well for potentially a number 6 objective for this coming calendar year.
Thanks, David. I think number 5 is very ambitious, and probably a little more discussion on it, because as long as it's like everything fluid and it will change, but I think a roadmap for any business or tourism agency is important to have, to kind of have an idea where you're going. You may take, you know, where you want to end, but you may take some different roads along the way. With that, I'll ask the board if there's any additions or questions on any of these objectives and goals that David has laid out before us.
Is on number 3, does that include any additional taxes?
No, but what will come about through the 05 update, right, is the fact that we're actually at 11%, and our room tax policy should appropriately reflect the inclusion of the 1%, right, for arts and culture. So I think it goes back so far that it's whatever the lodging tax rate was back then. And so we definitely need to get this updated to reflect, in fact, we're collecting 11% today. And I would like the policy to be very clear about how those dollars are allocated at present, realizing that things could change, I think, June of 2023 when we finish paying off the V&T bond, which is 2%, right? So it may require an update, you know, depending on what happens after June of 2023. But yeah, it's not about adding, you know, going to 12%, because we can't do that anyway. That would be Board of Supervisors to make a decision about increasing the tax. It's just trying to actually ensure that what is current today is actually in the room tax policy itself. So, and Chris, if you want to add anything, but that's what we're really trying to do.
Well, I would say if we're still using a document from 2005, that it's probably outdated. And,
I think providing that clarity is a good
yeah.
thing.
Any comments from anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Giami?
Yes, thank you, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It seems to be a little bit of a delay. David, on number 3, are there any associated CCMCs that need to be reviewed at the same time? And maybe there is and maybe there isn't. I guess I would just potentially ask for that to be included in that if there are any.
That is a great question, and Chris and I were planning to look at that when we go through that old document, just to make sure that something doesn't need to come to you and the Board of Supervisors as well.
Yeah, so I think we could just, on number 3, change it to say, update the 2005 room tax policies and procedures and any related Carson City municipal codes.
Perfect. Related. Yep.
Supervisor Giome, this is Todd Reese, Deputy DA. I know
Yes,
off
sir.
the top of my head that there's at least one CCMC that does need to be updated. But you may not want to put the quote unquote updating of that on to David's review, since that's the updating of it will be done in conjunction with the DA and the Board of Supervisors. So maybe a different description, like identify those and work with the DA's office, or bring them to the attention of the Board of Supervisors, or I don't know how you want to word it off the top of my head, but
I'll tell you what,
something
yeah,
along those
I get what
lines.
you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Todd. Let's just say this. Let's put on the record that the intent of number 3 is that you'll update the room tax policies and procedures, and you'll work with the DA's office to make any suggested changes to CCMC through the proper channels. I don't think we need to add all that verbiage in there. I'm fine. Are you okay with that, Todd?
Supervisor Jomi, that works for me.
Okay, thank you. On number, in terms of the, I don't know that I'm coming up with a great phrasing for a new number 6. But I just typed this up while we were working here. Be a resource to the Carson City tourism and lodging businesses as it relates to the utilization of the visitcarsoncity.biz website, and provide information to them on efforts undertaken by the CTA to promote tourism.
That's beautiful.
Very nicely said.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you like that, I will, I'll write it and shoot it to you via email.
Perfect. Yeah. And I think,
then the other
Stacy,
one that I-
oh, could I just,
Yes, sir.
sorry, could I just clarify? Maybe we include both websites, so it's not specific just to the .biz website, because .com is also a resource to our tourism business partners as well. So while they may be on the .biz website, we also have all of the businesses on .com, right, on the resident and the consumer
How
side.
about we just say websites
Perfect, yeah.
as it relates to the utilization
Visit Carson City websites. Yeah,
of Visit Carson City websites? Yeah.
I think that's perfect, yeah. Yeah,
And
I
then
like it, but I know
last
it's not my
one-
decision, so but I like it.
No. I
The
think-
last one I have is, and David, this is something that you and I talked about sort of offline. And it's talking about potential funding through a public art agency, public art council. And I don't know how you feel about making this an objective, but explore options for the potential to obtain recognition as a public art agency or public art council, or whatever the proper terminology is. And for the benefit of everyone, basically, we're a governmental entity, and it precludes us from seeking grants from like National Endowment of the Arts. But if we were recognized as a public art, and David, I'll let you step in here because you're using the right words and I'm just blathering on.
Stacy, yeah, you're thinking LAA, Local Arts Agency?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes. Yes.
So I'm okay with that. But here's I'll speak frank. My only concern is, since I don't get to make that decision, I know that's a Board of Supervisors decision, and we need the district attorney's help on that. What happens if you guys didn't make that decision, or you can't?
So all I'm saying is to explore the options. I'm
Oh,
not saying
gotcha.
that you have to do it.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it would be contingent upon your review next year that it happens.
Okay.
I'm just asking you to explore the options,
I think
because
that's
no one is in a better position to be able to do that than you and your staff.
perfect. So can I ask Deborah how would you recommend, would we explore the option for the CTA to be designated as the local arts agency for Carson City? Is that appropriate?
That would work.
Okay, so Stacy, would you be okay with that?
I'm writing it down. If you could say it again.
Deborah, do you want to explore the option for Visit Carson City, or for the CTA to be designated as the local arts agency for Carson City. If that works.
I'm writing it down. I'm good with that.
Okay. So that would be 7 in terms of numbering then.
Is, well, like I said,
Yes.
that may not be an objective,
Yeah, but
Um,
what
I
Stacy
would like
wants is
Could
to
be an
explore it.
objective.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's fair, Stacy. That's a good point. I mean, we need to figure out if we can or we cannot be to tap into some of that funding, which is right now our hang up in the absence we think of potentially being designated as the LAA. So I think that's a great.
And I don't think again, the intent of this objective is not for you to make it happen, because there's too many things beyond your control
Sure.
for us to hold you accountable to that. But certainly for you to explore the option to look at ways it could happen, and then report that up, whether it be ultimately through CTA or the Board of Supervisors or both at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think that's beyond your capability, so.
No, I think that's great. What kind of timeline do you want to put on that, Stacy? Or I'm sorry, Mike. You should ask that. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. Mike, what do you think? I mean, what do you think, David, that you can do realistically?
Is mid-year, June, is that too soon to at least explore what the pathway forward to making this happen is? And say, these are the steps that need to be taken?
I like that. If we could say June. Yeah.
If I'm okay with June.
I mean, if we
know
can
we've got
get
a
it
lot-
done faster,
we have
we'll
a lot
try.
right.
But I know there's a lot of
Mhm.
steps, and so.
When
Heck, we could
we
even say
think
July.
about when the grant period is, or the fundraising, does that have anything in?
As far as being able to apply for so Deborah, I don't know. Deborah, do you know what that looks like?
I'm pretty sure that there is a period that you have to operate as an LAA first before you can even apply, so I don't think that's applicable this year.
Well, I'm good with June, if everyone else is.
I'm willing to make a motion if you'd like, Mr. Chair.
Please.
I move to recognize the performance of David Peterson and rate him as outstanding for the previous rating period. And furthermore, to set his objectives for calendar year 2022 as entered into the record on items 1 through 5, with the addition of number 6 to read, be a resource to the Carson City tourism and lodging businesses as it relates to the utilization of the Visit Carson City websites, and provide information to them on efforts undertaken to promote, undertaken by the CTA to promote tourism, with a deadline of December 2022. And goal number 7, explore the option for the CTA to become the local arts agency for Carson City, with an accomplishment date of June of 2022.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Please say
Aye.
aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to non-action items.
Sounds good.
And David, Executive Director's update.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you very much. Let's move on to agenda item 10, which is, Mike, as Chair Jones said, a monthly non-action items. This is presentation and discussion only. We'll go ahead and start with 10A, which is the Executive Director's update. So I have just 3 quick updates for you all today. I'm working with Chris on the job recruitment for the events and sales manager position. I actually reached out last week, having come back from vacation myself, to my peers to get some examples of recruitments that they either just went through in the past month or are looking to put out themselves. I want to make sure we have the right terminology. So we have a very old job description in place that in terms of the position that James was in, it needs to be updated top to bottom. But I just want to make sure I've got the right terminology when we're reaching out to these sales folks in the tourism world. So my hope is we can put this out through Carson City HR next week, as well as some of our partner organizations. As an example, the Reno Tahoe Territory will put this out. We'll do something with DMA West. Lydia is going to help me, I think, with the LinkedIn and a couple of other options I think that we have to get in front of the right types of people that are, in our competitive set or outside of our competitive set in the Reno Tahoe Territory area. So hope to get that pushed out next week. So quick update on the position. Then on the brand execution front, and I kind of already mentioned this, but we are in the field right now. We're in the 11 DMAs. So we've got 1,100 completes with the quantitative research. And I'm hoping, if all goes well, we seem to be pacing well in terms of the sampling. So I'm hoping we'll close our survey by the end of this week. And then my plan is to bring back both phases of the research and have Brian London do a presentation. It won't be a hour-long presentation, but we'll at least kind of hit the highlights of both the qualitative and the quantitative research at the February board meeting, if all goes according to plan. So update there. And then last week I was on the director's call with my peers at the DMOs in Nevada, and the staff at Travel Nevada let us all know that the Commission on Tourism will be doing a second cycle rural marketing grant program, which they are going to open up, we hope, next month. So I'm excited about that opportunity as well, because I think there's some things that we might have left on the table from the first cycle grant program that we can hopefully submit some applications for in February. So that's an exciting bit of news that I learned last week. So I'm happy to entertain any questions that the board may have on any of those items.
So David, you plan to have the new job description ready to go by next week?
That's the plan, yeah, and get it released. We have to go through, I can't remember what the name of the city's NeoGov or neo.gov or something like that, but we have to get it out through the city first because all roads lead to that portal. So at a minimum, we'll get that done and listed on the city's website. And then, of course, everybody can kind of help me get things out to the territory and get emails pushed. So yeah, that's the plan. I'd like to move forward with that because we're going to have events, fingers crossed here, starting, April, May, moving forward. So I want to make sure we have somebody on board to assist with that. So that's my plan, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. If there are no questions, I'll move on to 10B, transient occupancy tax, actual versus forecast. So in your packet, that's the big giant 11 by 17 sheet. We do have a final number for October. So if you all recall, we were still kind of in a forecast position back in October. We came in at 1.906 million for the month of October, but I want to draw your attention to November, 1.68 million. That is a record for the month of November. It beat, if I recall, Chris, I think back in the FEMA time, I want to say it was maybe the fall of 18 or 17. We beat that incredible number that took place when FEMA was here renting out all of the rooms. So I'm just super excited, to see that number come through for November. So again, we were against the budget, plus 34%. So and we were 34% again compared to 19. So great numbers. We'll keep looking, be positive looking forward. But I think this is a great credit. Team has done a great job of trying to bring folks in during the shoulder season. I think our properties have done an amazing job as well, representing themselves and being an alternative to Tahoe or Reno in our competitive set. So great number is all I can say for November. I was blown away by this. I asked Chris to triple check her work and make sure this was accurate because it's a great number. So well done to our tourism industry a couple months ago.
As I mentioned, there are still lemons falling. This isn't one of them.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at the numbers every month.
Yeah. So any questions, on the occupancy tax report? Okay, great, thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and move on to 10C, Events and Sales Update. So Lydia is going to bring the presentation up. I want to make sure I give Lydia and Deborah appropriate time, but I just want to kind of talk you through, obviously if James, was with us, he would be doing this. This is just a bit of a recap for calendar 21. So these first couple of slides, James was all over this, right? He was sort of our directives expert as far as what was going on the state level, and as you all know, he was keeping in close contact with the city as well as all of the different event promoters and tour operators. Lydia, if you'll go ahead. Yeah, perfect. I talked about this already, but we created that MICE page for the tour operators, our receptives and meeting space professionals, to be able to access these different facilities that were not related to hotels. So Staybridge came on board as well. And of course, we just was an example here of adding them onto our MICE page as well. So this was in spite of the pandemic, another property came on board. So member Kem was 19, and we had these guys come on as well. So this page, there was a lot still going on. I know that as James talked to you throughout the year, some of the trade shows moved to virtual, including Go West and ABA, but we had not previously participated in Go West, nor have we been a part of ABA. But this has proved to, I think, set us up moving forward very well, right? At least we're in front of these folks who, I'll be honest with you, forgot about Carson City. The last time for some of these folks, again, that they had been spoken to by someone representing the tourism industry in Carson City was arguably around 2010 or 11, right? So we continued with the virtual appointments and then IPW, that was our first in-person conference of 2021. It was down in Las Vegas. And we were a part of a pre-FAM with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. And again, give full credit to our partners who don't have to include us, but they choose to include us and make us a part of the experiences for those attendees before or after the trade show or the marketplace. So if you recall, we had a whole rail bike event out at the V&T, which they loved. And then Mary Bennett with the Ghost Tour, Ghost Walk, she was actually the step-on guide on the bus. And she was awesome. I mean, in fact, Art with RCVA is like, we need her to be a part of any bus that we, come through at Carson City. She was just fantastic. We did have our third NTA conference. It was second in person as well during the year. And so I won't go in, any more, but I just want everybody to know, as a reminder, that Go West is here next month in February. And then we have NTA in, I think, November, maybe December 2022 as well. So we're trying to set ourselves up. We're a part of Adventure Days. We'll be a part of either a pre or a post FAM tour as well at both of those trade show marketplaces. So I think it's great exposure again for Carson City. Again, on this slide, this is, over 70 appointments were taken in 2021. Again, we covered the US, Canada, Central America, South America, Europe, Japan, China, South Korea, and the Philippines as a part of these appointments. And so just a reminder, we're still looking internationally, realizing we're playing the long game here, right? And then you've got the missions slide up. Okay. So again, with our sales missions, again, we got the new products with rail bikes. Stewart Indian School, Bobby, is just, you're there, has been huge, right? And I think this is such an important part of our tourism product and our development, right? Our destination development moving forward. The Nevada State Prison Tours, of course, started, right, this past year. So we're still working with them as far as flushing out a more consistent schedule, I guess to be honest. We've got the museums, we have the train experiences, ghost tours, and then history as well in terms of some of the highlights that were discussed on the sales missions. And there's more opportunities forthcoming too with Travel Nevada, because for the first time, I want to say since, either 2019 or maybe the first 2 months of 2020, they are actually going into like the Los Angeles area, Long Beach, on a receptives level. So there's going to be some great opportunity there for us to either directly or indirectly be a part of that through Reno Tahoe territory or as Visit Carson City. So I'm also excited about 2022. There'll be some specific sales missions to Canada and Mexico as well. So we'll figure out how we are part of those, and I look forward to that. So, and next page, this was a couple of sports leisure vacations, and the Tours of Distinction did bring their tours to us in 2021, and they do have some additional tours planned for 2022. I want to say this was as a result of the attendance at NTA. This actually goes back to 2019. And I know it seems like it's a long time ago, but in the sales side of things, when we attend these shows, it's not like a month later, these folks are bringing buses of 45 people. It's a year and a half. It's 2 years later, right, that the results start to come in. And so I just thought this was something I would point out that, again, technically, engagement with the sports leisure people started in the summer of 2019, but officially it was at NTA in Fort Worth, Texas, in November or December, I think it was, of 2019. So, and then this last slide, you guys, I bring forward when there are larger sponsorships, right? Bring those forward to the board, for your consideration. But last year we supported either through direct funding, sponsorship, endorsement through our interlocal with the city and with Parks and Rec. It could have been printing support, but over 40 events last year. So, and you can see we've got trap shoots, the Homestead Holidays, the car shows, sports tournaments, lacrosse tournament, ghost tours, Polar Express, and more. And and yes, a lot of things were canceled, moved, pushed forward, but I just wanted you guys to kind of see, and I thank James here for putting this slide together, that there are a lot of other events that we're somehow a part of, not necessarily, everybody just getting a blank check type situation, but the team does a great job throughout the year of, again, literally being a resource, right, for these programs and events. So, back to my review, I think that's great, Stacy, that we've added that, but this I think just encapsulates that there is a lot of outreach and work that happens throughout the course of the year on an events level. So that's my events and sales update, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
No, as I've been going through this packet a couple times, and it makes me realize how important sales and events and how many things we actually do, and how important it is to not only get to move quickly on that sales and event position, to get the right person in there, because there's a lot going on, and I'm glad to see we haven't given up on our international.
No, I mean, I know it's not as maybe forward facing, just cultural sensitivity around the different markets, but where it made sense, James and I, talked with the different shows and looked at the different opportunities with the group tour operators and the receptives, I should say, down in LA and the Bay Area, and where it made sense, we engaged on an appointment, one-on-one basis. So, yeah, I mean, again, we're always looking forward, right? And I don't want to lose any momentum that we've been able to build in the few months before COVID and then during this whole pandemic situation on a virtual level. So, but I agree, we need to get the right person. And it's going to take a unique person, because sales is different than somebody that just handles events, right? It's almost like, you need a half and halfer, person to fulfill that role. So yeah, finding the right person I think is going to be critical, and especially to be able to work with the wonderful people at Carson City and the Parks Rec Open Space team is going to be important. So. All right, with that, I'll go ahead and move us on to 10D, Arts and Culture Update. Deborah Soul, take it away.
Thank you, David. So I'm going to overview the arts and culture activities from last year, which for me really encompasses July to December of 2021. The first event or the first activity I would note was the completion and formal unveiling of the Welcome to Carson City mural by Abner Rivera, which took place in July of 2021. As well, we also completed the Carson City Where History Lives and Adventure Awaits mural. That mural was undertaken by Ann O'Lear, and the mural's been completed, but there has not been a formal unveiling of it yet. That will happen at some point this year when the visitor center is finished its renovations and ready to be reopened to the public. And obviously, a significant amount of our time and effort went into the review and update of the Arts and Culture Master Plan, which commenced in July through August, with consultation with the cultural organizations in the community and community residents and businesses. And then in October, September, moved into a phase where the results of that were tabulated and compiled. And then in September, we presented those consultation results to the lodging properties and gathered their input on the key priority areas. And in October, that was when we made the presentation to the joint meeting of the Cultural Commission and the CTA, this board, at which there was the recommendation that the plan be presented to the Board of Supervisors. And as David noted earlier, that was to have happened in December, but there was a delay on that because there was a couple of technical changes that they wanted to the plan, but it's pretty much ready to go again. And the cultural mapping project has been underway since September, and it's really just a process of developing the database. And it has not been the top priority, but it's certainly been chugging along through the last few months. And in September and October, we were involved with the coordination of the application processes for the city's RAC grant program, under which this year, or in 2021, 5 cultural applicants were awarded grants under the program, which totaled $25,000. And in October and December, we established a working group under the Cultural Commission to provide some recommendations on arts and culture allocations for the city's ARPA funds. And the outcome of that was a recommendation that there should be consideration of directing some funds towards the establishment of a cultural district in the downtown area. At this point, that hasn't been tabled, but that proposal has been completed, and that work will continue to move forward. And in December, our attention was turned towards the public art policy, the first draft of which has been prepared. And at the present time, there's input being sought from a number of city departments on that policy, ready to advance that and move it forward. And in addition, in December, we also undertook the printing of an arts and culture events calendar for the sector, which has been compiled and designed and is pretty much ready to go to print at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, are there any questions? Sorry, Mike, any questions from the board?
Well, Deborah, I know you mentioned that you'd only been here from July, and don't take this the wrong way, it seems longer. But it's because you've accomplished a bunch, and you've got to start it in the right direction. When I think about, you're reaching out to the arts and culture groups and the hoteliers and Arts and Culture Master Plan and everything you've done. I can't wait to see what happens in 22 when you have a full year under your belt.
Going to be a big report, I think. Yeah, no. I told her to pace herself, but she said, no, I don't want to do that. So it's all fifth gear forward. Yeah, no, thank you, Deborah, for that recap, and I really appreciate it as well. Let's go ahead and move on to 10E, Marketing and Public Relations Update. Lydia Beck, your turn.
Thank you, Lydia Beck for the record. We've got a little bit longer list of a 2021 recap, but I'm going to give you the highlights of the overview of everything that we've accomplished or done this year. Now, we have quite a few things to recap, but though I'm focusing more in this on our digital and social, this is a reminder that we've also done billboard and print advertising throughout the year. Just for time's sake, I didn't include them in here. So let's start with our messaging that we had in 2021. Though in early 2020, we were still using our Visit Carson City Safely messaging, through most of 2021, we were able to pivot to our normal messaging, which was discover your capital and where history lives and adventure awaits. So we were targeting Nevadans still, but also outside of Nevada, which we were very excited to do after a long 2020 of focusing mostly on Nevadans. So in July, when the fires hit, we shifted again to being a resource for evacuees, for people traveling to the area, or even avoiding it. So how did we use that messaging? Starting with our digital marketing update, wanted to show you our top 10 for our website top content. So I'll let you read through those, but really we continued to bring awareness to our hotels, events, and things to do in the area the most. And you can see on the top graph that we had lifts in our page views in June through August, with a spike around Nevada Day towards the end of October. So overall, we brought over 240,000 visitors to our site in 2021. I also wanted to show you the comparison between 2021 and 2020 on our top 5 pages, which is our landing page, our homepage, things to do, hotels, rail bikes, and events. And so keep in mind, though, with the volatility of 2020, we had 4 months in 2020 that we were dark. So the comparison really isn't apples to apples, but wanted to show you that our focus was bouncing back, and we did. Our page views were up over 67%, and everything else was across the board, and we decreased our bounce rate slightly as well, which is something that we're continually working on. So where do our visitors come from? So this is our website acquisition numbers for 2020. So you can see that a lot of our major 54.3% of our traffic comes from organic search of people just searching in Google. And then we have direct hits to the site. And then where you're seeing other, number 2, is actually our paid social media ads. It's just coded differently on how it comes into Google Analytics. And then what we're going to focus on, though, is garnering more leads for our email signups and drive traffic for our newsletters. So these last 3 categories here, the paid search, display, and referral traffic, were all about 5%. And then the last small percentages round out here for social and email. Now, the referral sites that people are coming from, our top 5 were actually carsonnow.org, carson.org, Visit Reno Tahoe, the newsbreakapp.com, which tells us that our PR is working quite well, and then travelnevada.com. So moving on to our Google ads. So this is the combined numbers of all of our paid search efforts, our YouTube advertising, and our display advertising. So in 2020, we delivered 4.8 million search impressions, had 31,500 clicks, and just under 1,800 conversions. Our conversions are people that have clicked off of our website onto our hotel partners' websites or have downloaded a visitor guide, but that visitor guide is very small. So I would say well over 95% of these are referral to our hotel pages. In 2020, we delivered 2.76 million impressions, 18,535 clicks, and 604 conversions. And keep in mind with that 4-month dark time period during COVID. So our paid social media update. So what you're seeing here are some of our top performing ads. These are filtered by results, and keep in mind, not every ad has the same objective. So some are post engagement, some are traffic to our website, some are landing page views. But wanted to show you some of our top performing things that include arts and culture related things like the V&T, Dia de los Muertos, some of our video ads, some are fall, vacation planning. So we have really run a pretty wide gamut. And you'll see some of the amounts spent are quite different, but that summer video traffic spans over a 3-month time. We just duplicate it out. So it's not exactly the same ad all the time, but has the same objectives and target audience. But overall, on the bottom, you can see that we reached over 1.1 million people on paid social media alone. We delivered over 3.8 million impressions, And the stat that you don't see on here is the 37,200 landing page views on our website driven by our paid social media ads. So what you're seeing on this page is our top content that was not paid. So this is all of our organic posts that we're doing, where we're posting and creating content 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week that we're posting, just depending on what's going on. So you can see that fall is an incredibly engaged time with our followers. So thanks to some amazing local photographers, I'm able to put a huge focus on engaging with and cultivating relationships with anyone that tags us in photos. And I can share them as much as I can so I can continue to garner that excitement for local photographers to continue to tag us and be featured on our page. So that momentum of the user-generated content continues because not a single picture that you see on our top post here is ours. It's all user-generated content of people who have tagged us in their post. The only ones that aren't user-generated content are what you can see from our crisis communication through social media. They were some of our most engaged too. So us welcoming South Lake Tahoe back home after they were evacuated, and then also our efforts to continue to get information out about the fires and just letting people know that it's not actually a great time to visit Carson City. And people really respected and appreciated that information. And I think that really cements that our locals and visitors see our page as a pillar for news and communication about the area. And I don't think that that's going to go away. So our social media profile performance, I'll let you guys dig into these numbers if you'd like, but the highlights, what you're seeing here is that we grew our audience by almost 14%, and our engagement grew tremendously, over 66%. And you could see it really tell the impact of having Zach on board, as our total video views were over 407,000 views. He's been an incredible asset to the team. I think having an in-house content person was one of the best decisions that we've made, and we really hired the right guy for the job. So that was our digital and social efforts. Moving on to the PR report, this is a very high-level recap because you've seen a lot of what we've gone through over the year, but we had numerous journalists, bloggers, influencers, and even TV shows that came in through 2021 in the calendar year. And it paid off as we put up some pretty amazing publicity numbers of over 770 million unique visitors per month to all the sites that our articles were featured on, and a publicity value of just under $720,000. And speaking of that video content that Zach's produced, I've showed you all a ton of videos over the last year, but we did create 2 in-house commercials in 2021 that were done completely by Zach. This first one was done with him alone. Him and I put together a script and hired a voiceover talent. And then the next one we worked a little bit with KPS3, but Zach shot and put all of this together. So I want to just kind of give you a highlight of this first one that we produced in January of 2021.
Carson City, more than just your state capital. It's where you can conquer mountaintops, chase waterfalls, and take in epic sunsets. Or get your gears turning and pedal year-round into adventure. Remember what it means to be a Nevadan. Discover your capital, Carson City.
So early 2020 was definitely when we were still targeting Nevadans. And I think this was the start of what really started to help elevate our brand, and really excited about this new concepts coming forward that's only going to continue this momentum. So this next one you see was our spring commercial that we used when we started doing all of our streaming services. So this was played, on TVs kind of all around the
You've been waiting for
surrounding
this
states.
moment. It's time to reset. Fill up your cup and get a fresh take. Drink it up and live in the moment. Share a laugh and a plate. Cast out where adventure has no set tracks. Rooted in history. Ready to roam and roaring with rhythm. Feel the heartbeat of Nevada in Carson City.
So we'll probably continue to use that one until we get our new video concepts for the new campaign. We're going to be starting some streaming in April again. And so in effort to save some money, we're going to repurpose that until we get the new content, which we're hopefully very excited about. And the last video I have for you is just a sneak peek at some of the Nevada Day footage that we captured. And that is in a huge thank you to Travel Nevada, who partnered with us in splitting the cost of using Trespasser Productions to come in and help Zach produce some really fun, unique, awesome footage that we think is going to help sell Nevada Day as a weekend event and not just a day of a parade. And so we're excited to use this because I think we'll be able to use it for years to come. So this is not a commercial. It's really just a highlight reel so you can see some of the footage that we've captured. But again, he did a pretty great job of making it quite usable. Pretty awesome stuff. We're excited. All right. Hopefully it'll let me go on. All right. So just a couple more slides. Thanks for bearing with me so far. In 2021, we were able to participate in 2 grant rounds with Expedia using the co-op with Travel Nevada. And so these are the combined numbers of 6 months of total advertising. So 3 months were in the spring and 3 months were in the fall. So that's over 11 million impressions, almost 6,000 clicks, gross bookings of just under $380,000, and we garnered over 3,000 room nights from these campaigns. So some big numbers from a pretty affordable buy-in for us, and we are going to continue to do this with our grant funds that we got for the next one. So some other projects that we started this year. In 2021, we partnered and hired Shelby Holty as the first member of our local blogging team. So that's a new thing that we've created. And her goal is to write 1 blog a month for us. She's also a local photographer too. So she really helps garner some great image, and she loves Carson City. And she's not a native to Carson City, so she has a fresh perspective and fresh eyes. She's also a great writer. So it just made a lot of sense to have her come in and give us a local's perspective. And so she's written detailed articles about off-roading, snowshoeing, allergy-friendly meals, the Carson City Triathlon, and she's working on a few more that we met with today. And so we hope to grow this team by 1 more so that we continue to produce helpful content and boost our SEO as well. And then secondly, David hit that we launched the Hungry Hikers and Bikers Pass. And we're in the talks about the next pass, likely being event-based, as he mentioned. So we're very excited. We're getting downloads already, and significant promotion and paid promotion will be put behind us this month. So I'll have a lot more stats for you and updates on that for the next meeting. And then after getting back from the ESTO conference, it was pretty clear that though we made some big strides, we were still lacking in representing more diversity, equity, and inclusion in our marketing. So we're going to continue to focus on more diverse fam tours, influencers that we bring in, and partnering with more diverse publications like Pride Journeys, who you've heard me mention before. We're continuing to put content on their site and on their blog about destinations that are friendly and what's to do here. And so we'll continue those efforts. So that was our 2021 recap. So what's our goals for 2022? We want to launch the new marketing campaign so that we can continue to promote Carson City as an amazing destination to visit. We want to continue and improve and push the limits on our video content, because even though Zach does a great job, hoping to get him some support that will be able to really create some more unique things for us too. And then increase our total follower count by at least 5%. And we'll continue to utilize media and influencers even more, especially during events, to continue to support the community and event coordinators after 2 very tough years. And then continue to educate visitors, especially in Lake Tahoe, about Carson City to initially drive day trips with the ultimate goal of staying overnight in Carson City. And lastly, we really want to inspect and refine all of our digital ads so that when this marketing campaign is ready, it's going to launch in a very streamlined, smooth system that we'll use our marketing dollars as wisely and efficiently as possible. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I don't really have a question. Just want to say great job. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
And in looking at the 3 commercials, there's one thing I have to know. Who was the incredible actress at the beginning of the spring commercial in the coffee shop?
That would be a very low budget talent.
You had to go
That
there,
was,
didn't you?
I mean, hey.
Not out of vanity, but necessity of not having a talent budget, Steve.
In all seriousness, still great job. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Any other questions or comments for Lydia? I'm especially interested in, I think it's number 5 in your goals, and the influencers, because I think you're right, it's been a couple tough years for those folks. And I think it's invaluable that we use them because they are exactly what they say they are.
Yeah, I mean, they work. They
Yeah.
definitely work. So we're hoping to really partner even more with them in the Tahoe area. I think that's helped drive a lot of awareness of people who are just, 30, 45 minutes away that can make it either an overnight stay or, like we said, those day trips. I think getting them down just to experience our events and says, I want to come back next year and make it a weekend. I think that's really going to be a strategy that's just going to work well for us this year and really help our events out.
No, great job. Marketing never stops, right?
Never does.
Always putting ourselves out where we need to be, and I think we are.
Yeah, and
you.
I'll just add, Lydia does a great job of coming up with these different ideas, like bringing Shelby on board. I thought was brilliant, right? And we're trying to figure out a second option as well to always have some content that's not like us per se. Lydia, being out there on 70 different social media platforms, dealing with all these folks. So I appreciate the ingenuity in thinking of these different ways that we can hit visitors and get that messaging out. And I think you'll see an emphasis as we move forward this I'll say calendar year rather than trying to split the baby on the fiscal year, but we're going to kind of go back and look at leveraging the Lake Tahoe area and Lake Tahoe in and of itself, right? And use that as a geographic proximity, closeness to us, and the fact that 6.2% of the lake is in the consolidated municipality of Carson City. That came out of, I think I might have, well, maybe I didn't mention this at a previous board meeting, but that actually came out from our qualitative research, our focus group research. And we're looking to survey and expand on that a little bit more at present during the quantitative research as well. It was brought up by people when they realized where Carson City is relative to Lake Tahoe. They're like, well, why aren't you saying that? Why aren't you including this in your ads? Now, obviously, we can't turn our ads into a giant map, but Lydia's working very diligently on a way to incorporate some feature in our ads with KPS3 moving forward, just to show that proximity, not only to Lake Tahoe, but also to Reno. And I think that will prove to be a benefit for our long-haul travelers, right, who come in by plane as well. So we've got, I think, some cool, exciting ideas that we're working on, and we're listening to the visitor, which I think that's why we do the research, right? They're telling us exactly, what we could do to improve our ads, to improve that ability to convert these folks into, maybe it's a day trip initially, but long haul, we want these folks to stay here in Carson City. So, so we look forward to that. But yes, excellent work. So great.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions for Lydia on her presentation? Seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to 10F, future agenda items. Does any member of the board wish to have anything added on the February agenda? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to 10G, upcoming meetings. So our next meeting will be February 15th, which, as a friendly reminder, is Tuesday, because I think that's a holiday on Monday, President's Day maybe? It's Valentine's Day? Okay, so that's why we're on Tuesday the 15th, okay, at 4 p.m. So just remember, Tuesday, not Monday. So sorry about that. Yeah, so. Because today isn't like a national holiday. I apologize. Talk to the chair about that. So with that, I'll turn things back over to Chair Jones.
Thank you, David. Good report. We'll move on to item 11, board comments, announcements, or requests for information. Board Member Rader?
Yes, I wanted to let everybody know that we just opened a new exhibit at the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum on baskets. It's called Inheritance. I forget the rest of the title, but it's contemporary art as well as historical baskets from several different artists and collections, and I invite everybody to come out and check it out. It's going to be up through June. We may or may not have a reception in March, depending on COVID. Thank you.
Anyone else? That I'll ask is there anyone on the phone for public comment?
There are no callers on the line at this time.
All right, thank you. And so our last item is to adjourn. Can I,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
we're adjourned.